So much in poker comes down to a 50-50, a simple coin flip to decide your fate. I'm gonna let a coin flip decide where I take my poker career next. Heads, I go to Asia. Tails, I go to South America. Yeah, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. In 2016, I came to the UK to study mechanical engineering at the University of Brighton. I quickly found out you could play poker legally here from the age of 18. One small problem. I was a broke uni student, I had close to no money to my name. My bankroll was zero. So I do kind of nothing with it for a year. But my second year of uni rolls around, and moving with my course mates, we become very close friends, one of which is also a poker player. In the first half of the year, we start consuming poker content online. From YouTube to Twitch, we watch people like Lex, All in Path, Tonka Pete. We hear about Tonka's story of turning a $100 transfer from a friend into a multi-six-figure roll. Hearing that, we thought we could do it too. By the start of 2018, I was able to save up a little bit of money over Christmas, and I made my first 3 real deposits onto poker sites. $65 onto poker stores, $100 onto AAA poker, and $100 onto party poker. I had a poker roll. We went all in. We converted our living room into a grind station. We reinvested any profit we had into tools like courses and poker tracker. That year, I went to Vegas for the first time ever as well. I wasn't old enough to play. I could see what was happening though, and cogs started turning. By the end of the year, I was able to grow my roll from the initial deposits of basically $265 all the way up to $3K. Moving up from a $2 tournament to like $11 tournament. That was a very big jump and took the better half of a year. My third and final year of uni came around. I'd also gotten very serious about poker. I started tracking my bankroll religiously. Poker made it so I didn't have to get a part-time job to support myself. I only had to withdraw a couple of $100 each month. It was a tough mix, matching a tough degree and playing a lot of poker, but it went pretty well. I had my first ever 4-figure score, 13, 98, 40 cents, really boosting my bankroll and getting me going. I was very slowly but surely growing my roll bit by bit. However, it wasn't going fast enough. By the end of year 3, my poker roll was sitting at around $8,000. Definitely not enough to go pro. So I did what any reasonable poker player would do. I started a Masters to give myself extra time to play more poker and then give poker a full-time shot. During the summer, I was able to fully focus on playing poker, and my poker roll crossed the 5-figure mark for the first time ever. By the time I started my Masters, my roll was sitting at $12,346. While studying my Masters, COVID struck, which was kind of ideal for me. Lectures were cancelled, I had less obligations, and I was able to focus a lot of time on playing poker. I was able to grow my roll from 12K all the way to $29,347. In my eyes, that was enough to really start a poker career. Now, all I had left to do was nervously tell my parents I was going to play poker full time. They were worried, which was fair enough. But they were supportive as long as I was happy doing what I was doing and not living under a bridge. Whilst figuring out where I was going to go, I moved home for 2 weeks, and not long after telling my parents I was going to go full-time, I had my first 5-figure score. So full-time poker meant a lot of studying and making sure I was able to beat the stakes I was moving up to. I got a place with my friend from uni who now also went full-time poker. After 6 months of living in London, I was able to grind a lot, study a lot, and move up significantly. My roll was sitting at around 60, 70K, and I was playing an ABI of about $80. However, COVID restrictions were still very real, and there was no real reason for us to stay. So, within a week of thinking of leaving, we booked our tickets to Thailand and we're off. This is where I made the biggest mistake of my poker career so far. I switched to cash games. At first, that doesn't sound too bad, but once you realize poker tournaments motivated me. I had a drive to move up in stakes, and now with cash, I had to restart. I had a substantial poker roll, and I could brace the time off that I needed to learn the new format. Results were okay, but I wasn't enjoying myself. I was slowly losing motivation. However, somehow I still had a 5-figure score while playing cash. I hit a bad beat jackpot on GG for about $11,000. You see, that sounds amazing, but it really made me take my foot off the gas. My poker roll peaked at just under 100K, however, that's where the downhill slope started. After about 6 months in Thailand, I decided to head back home for Christmas to see my family. After that, I went back to the UK because COVID restrictions were now lifted. I decided to keep playing cash games, but I focused a lot more on live poker. The cash games in the UK aren't great, they're relatively tight and they're not as enjoyable, however, they're good enough. I made a couple trips out to Vegas, playing there for the first time, nothing major. I combined those 2 years with traveling lots through Europe and just enjoying life, kind of living up my poker role. Towards the end of those 2 years, I took a long break, deciding to pursue other options I thought were feasible. Some were good, some were bad, nothing major came from it, and I didn't find anything I truly enjoyed. That leads us to about a year ago. My poker roll was down to 8k, having traveled a lot, played very little, and the last business venture not going that well. I saw two options: start back at the bottom, or get a job in a place I didn't really enjoy, working for someone I didn't really want to work for. The choice kind of made itself. I had a mission. I had to get back up to a poker roll where I could play online full time again. And I had a lot of experience with live poker, which gave me an advantage. I had easy access to small stakes tournaments very close by that were live and ran every night. I knew I could make enough in those to sustain myself. I started with sit-and-goes online again. In 6 months, I made about 10k from the small stakes tournaments live, and I made about 8k online in sit-and-goes. That meant it was time to go back to tournaments. In the last 6 months, I've played 1,000 tournaments every month at least. I've made 2 trips to LA for some cash games, so now I think I found a great mix. I play about 90% tournaments, 10% cash. I'm up 20k from tournaments online. I'm up 4k from my LA trip, and then 2k in live tournaments. See, that brings us to now. Staying in the UK isn't an option. So, since so much in poker comes down to a 50-50, a simple coin flip to decide your fate. I'm gonna let a coin flip decide where I take my poker career next. Heads, I go to Asia. Tails, I go to South America. That's heads, I'll see you in Asia. Follow along to see where in Asia I start. Subscribe to see how my poker story unfolds. Traveling to series, playing online, and getting back to the highest stakes possible.